What's going on today, people? It's Young Base or TJG back again with another video. No, I haven't done one in a while, but that's just been vacations been going on and stuff. So today I've got a little bit of a copycat video, something I low-key kind of stole from a certain famous YouTuber, whatever you want to call them. So this is an extra mill deck featuring Golden Ladybug, so you've probably seen this video before, so I'm not going to go over the deck too specifically. There are some things I changed from this. It's from Guns Blazing, if you didn't know. He made this, and I kind of switched it up a little bit. I know I usually don't steal other people's decks, but this one is just something that's been really fun. It's taken me from, like, Plat 2, I ranked down so I could get more gems, because I'm free to play, you know. I went from Plat 2 to Legend 3 right now. I haven't had time to get the King of Games one. I just wanted to put something out because I haven't recorded anything. But I think by the end of the day today or tomorrow, I'll probably hit King of Games using this deck. It's the only deck I've been using really on the ladder. I've been fiddling around with a little other thing. But the only thing I switched around is I took out a Golden Apples because that was in Guns version, and I put in a Lava Golem, and I'll talk about why in a second. But and I'm gonna talk about if there's any other sort of changes, what they would be. So the most important thing in the deck is obviously Floodgate, because Floodgate is so good, and I'm going to be showing 3 replays because they're a little bit on the longer side. I had over 5 I could have used at any given point, but I decided to just go with 3 because especially the last one is very long. The last one isn't the best replay to show, but I think it's the most fun of all I'm going to show. So this deck, it's really mill-centered, so basically the whole point is you want to build up your life points with having a Golden Ladybug in your hand. And while that's going on, you want to be milling your opponent, getting rid of some of their cards, protecting yourself, and then every time you drop 2,000 life points, you get to add, or every time you draw a card, or the next time you draw a card, if you don't know what extra does, you draw 2 of that card. And an interesting thing I realized when you do that, when you draw it, there's a chance that the other card is glossy when the original is not, which I thought was kind of cool. So this guy is Mind Scan, and he realizes what's going on pretty quickly. Another reason why Mind Scan, or this deck's gonna be better once Mind Scan gets nerfed, so you're not gonna have these people who play around your mill in the beginning. So this was in the first couple times where I was dueling. All these are at Legend, by the way. So this one, this guy, he's just playing around it, and so I wanted to get that early advantage on him, so I start popping things off. The biggest reason why you need Floodgates is for things like Yaichi, things like Sergeant Electro, things that are just going to pop your back row, pop your monsters, things like that. So this deck, I've taken all the best decks, or a lot of the best decks, and written out why this deck is good against them or why it's bad against them. So this deck is best versus Hazy. Hazy is one of the easiest matchups because if you have good enough back row and you get at least like 1 Floodgate and you start taking out their Hazy Flame Sphinx, you do that, you get your Curse of Anubis going, you get your everything going, and you're building up your life points with your Golden Ladybugs. Versus Hazy, it's just a really easy matchup, especially since the biggest part of it is that they're self-milling. As long as they're self-milling, you know, you're going to be dealing a lot, or you're going to be taking away a lot of their cards, they're going to be taking away a lot of their cards, and it's just an easier matchup. So here I have to Massive Morph on what's-his-face, so I can take 2,000 damage this turn, and I can get my extra next turn. This guy's trying to do damage, but the Temple of the Mind's Eye is just so good. And here I get 2 Floodgate Trap Holes. I decide to only place 1 because I'll only need 1 since his board's already full. And since he's going in for another 2,000 damage, I need to start pulling something with my extra. This is why extra is good, because when you pull the Golden Ladybugs, you start getting so much health back. So he's going to be dealing 2,000 every turn. I'm going to be regaining 1,500 every turn. So I still need to pull something better, but this gives me more longevity. So here, extra again. It's really nice. So here I have 5 Golden Ladybugs. This is not the only duel where I had 4 more Golden Ladybugs. It was actually pretty common, and I know it's going to be a lot, but 5 Golden Ladybugs, and there's nothing this guy can do since he can only deal 2,000 damage at any point, and it doesn't look like he has any more tributes, and even if he does, I do have the Floodgates still. And I pull the Draining Shield just to make it even bit better. Like I said, these duels are going to be a little bit longer, but that's just what happens when you've got 5 Golden Ladybugs. And I just get rid of the other Floodgate because I don't really need it. So continuing on with what's good and what's not. Oh, so here he finally decides to tribute, so I guess he finally got a monster, or maybe his hand's just full of back row. I don't really know. I decided to not pop the Draining Shield for whatever reason. You could have popped it there, it really doesn't matter. Pick up a Massive Morph. but it doesn't matter, this game's basically done. Back to what this deck is best versus. Cyber Angels, if you have the right starting hand, if you have enough traps, you only really need one monster in your starting hand versus Cyber Angels, but you don't even really need any. You could just have a deck full, or you could have a starting hand full of back row, and if you have that, you have a pretty good match versus Cyber Angels. Additionally, Dinos, if you are able to floodgate their Sergeant Electro, you're going to have a fantastic time versus them, and there's really nothing they can do versus you. They're going to be attacking into you with... I'll talk about Cyber Angels again in a bit, because it's in 2 of these sections. I've got an okay versus a best versus and a worst versus, and Cyber Angels comes up twice. So Dinos is best. If you can pin down their Sergeant Electro, then it's really good. Their... whatchamacallit, Black Brachios, it's not going to activate the flip effect on your Hero Shadow Scout, which is okay because you've still got your Warm Worms and you've still got other ways to get around it. The problem is, or the real big thing you have to worry about is their Hydreigeddons attacking into things and then dealing a lot of damage. Here, it doesn't even matter with Temple of the Mind's Eye because I'm attacking just to destroy, and that's the end of this guy. Dinos, Hydreigeddon is a problem because it'll attack and then it'll just keep swinging and special summoning, which is a little bit of a problem. The good thing is, though, their back row is going to get pinned because they have a lot of defensive back row. They have got a lot of Wall of Disruption, Enemy Controller, and Mirror Walls, which do nothing versus this deck since you're not really attacking. Which it's just really good. So their back row is going to get pinned down. There's not a lot they can do. As long as they're not playing anti-magic arrows, which a lot of them are, you should be fine. But you just have to know to play around that since that's something Dinos do use. And towards the end of the battle phase, like that's the deck where Curse of Anubis comes into play the most. Ninjas, it's really good versus because you floodgate their black dragons, and then they can't do anything because it is for not duplication, the other one, transformation. It has to be face up. So floodgate, it's not doing anything. This one's a balanced Gladiator Beast. Gladiator Beast I'll talk about later because I'm still trying to talk about ninjas, and then after that comes most Red Eye Zombies. But ninjas is just really, really hard to get over this kind of thing, and especially when they're milling themselves. If you can add any of your burn elements in too, you've got, not a whole lot, but if you can activate something like your Lava Golem on them, then if it's 3-star demotion, you've already won. Pretty much. Most Red Eye Zombie decks have a problem getting over this unless they really are heavy set on destroying your back row, like a lot of the Storm variants are. You're probably fine. If they have anti-magic arrows, you're a little bit in a better place. It's just every deck has its problems, but you're probably going to be fine with that. So here he's going to bring out another one of these, and it's a good thing I've got another Floodgate. Floodgate is so good in this deck. So I want to talk about worst versus. So there's only 3 decks where you're going to have an incredibly hard time versus, with this deck, and that is, one of them is Gladiator Beast. If you don't pull your Floodgates, Gladiator Beast is just going to run through you. Draining Shield is good for it, but here's the thing. So when they activate their fusion summons, perfect timing for this, by the way. When they activate their fusion summons, they get to put things back in the deck, so it's immediately killing your mill elements. So unless you're getting really strong mills right from the very beginning, they're going to be able to keep shuffling their monsters when you floodgate them because they've just got so much. They've got so much synergy with their fusions. And the Hero Shadow Scout is so good in this matchup because it's fine if they get monsters added to the hand. 99% of the time that's not going to matter because they can only fusion summon when they're in the deck. And if you can put things in the graveyard too, that's even better as well. If you pull their Murmillos to the hand, also, people all the time will always activate Murmillo when you've got no face-up monsters versus this deck. It's like one of the funniest things, actually. And there's actually been a lot of games where that's been a deciding element. Just like here, this was a deciding element. If he had popped, or if it had worked to take out my Hero Shadow Scout, it would have been very, very bad. But we're able to mill more, and he's going to attack. It's not even going to matter. 1150 damage, that doesn't matter when you've got a Golden Ladybug. 6 Samurai is the other hardest, most difficult one because they've got their Yaichis, they've got their ones that pop your face-up back row, so if you've got your Temple of the Mind's Eye, they have ones that just, I can't remember the name of all the guys because there's so many of them and I've never played 6 Samurais, but there's that one guy who attacks them if they're face down, they just destroy immediately, and we activate the Lava Golem here just for fun. Also because I don't want him to get his fusion summon, so yeah. So that's fine, and we'll flip him and I'll take this 3,000 damage easy any day of the week. 6 Samurai is just so hard in that regard with all the monsters they have. And here we've got 3 Golden Ladybugs, so it doesn't even matter. We're getting half of what we took last turn. The other deck that's the most difficult is Ancient Gears, because they don't care about your back row at all when you're attacking. They don't care about your draining shields. Massive Morph is super, super important in that matchup, and you really want to have... this is the best match of all of them. This is the mirror match, which I think is so much fun, but Extra ends up beating his version, so you'll see. Ancient Gear is so difficult. If you have Temple of the Mind's Eye plus a Massive Morph, like, that's the only real way you're going to win that match. Otherwise, it's going to be incredibly difficult, and I lost almost all the Ancient Gear matchups, given there weren't that many I've had with this deck, but I've lost most of them. The decks that it's okay versus, I've talked about Cyber Angels before. If you have a bad opening, you still have a good chance against Cyber Angels, as long as you have some sort of back row. If you have only monsters, then you're going to lose. But as long as that doesn't happen, you're probably going to be fine. Burn, you have a decent chance versus, because if you can mill their burning elements, you're fine. If you can also, if you go first and you floodgate their woodland sprite, that's the best way to do it. So this guy, the first thing I want to talk about is does counterblow. That's actually a cool option for this deck. If you are looking into more options, but you don't want the specific all mill elements, and you're looking into a less monster-centric version, Death's Counterblow would be pretty cool. Especially if you run more than one Temple of the Mind's Eye. This is more of a burn-centric one using Golden Ladybug, but Golden Ladybug is one of the most important cards in this deck, and it's the only one I think that you really have to run 3 of besides Floodgate. So as I was saying, with Cyber Angels, oh no, not with Cyber Angels, with Burn, if it's not a Woodland Sprite one, as this one kind of is, you're in a better situation, but it's Extra is going to be coming in so clutch if they're dealing a lot of burn damage to you, and as long as they're not OTKing you or FTKing you, you're going to be alright. Non-Extra mill, this has a better chance versus, since you're going to be adding more cards to your deck and you have more mill elements, but you are going to have to get the advantage on them because you're only running 2 Hero Shadow Scout and 2 Warm Worms. You may not even run 2 Warm Worms. I think 2 is really important, but you may not even be running that, so they may be milling you more than you're milling them. Additionally, most other decks are going to have a hard time versus this deck unless they have some specific way to get over it. The number one thing I lose to with this deck versus other decks is Xing Zhen Hu. If people are running Xing Zhen Hu, or if there's some sort of random Mind Scan beatdown deck that has Cosmic Cyclone, and then they can see where my floodgates are, things like that, that's another way. Also under Cyber Angels, that's another way why Cyber Angels is going to beat you. But most other decks, as long as they don't Xing Zhen Hu you or something like that, as long as you can keep your back row up and you can keep your monsters getting destroyed or popping their effects and everything, you're going to be in a good situation. If you haven't realized like what's going on here, this is the ultimate Golden Ladybug matchup. Just burning and milling and adding and everything. Golden Apples is also just, this is I think the only game where I actually had Golden Apples. I took it out, put it back in, and then took it out again. Golden Apples is just bad. I would not use it in this deck. This is a more monster-centric version, my version, because I have multiple Warm Worms. And I find that you're gonna have monsters on the field a lot of the time. And therefore, especially if you're focusing on Temple of the Mind's Eye, your Golden Apples is only going to be at 1,000. It's not very clutch. If anything, if you don't want to run the Lava Golem, I would much rather run a second Assault on GHQ, because I've found it's come down to very close games where Assault on GHQ is really necessary, and that's at the bottom of the deck, because opponents won't attack your monsters, you have to destroy them somehow, and 2 of them would probably just be better, especially since you can use it on any monster. Jar of Avarice here, this was scary, because the second this happened, I was like, oh my god, this is where I could possibly lose. But as I was saying, what was I saying? Jar of Avarice, Assault on GHQ. You can use it with your Golden Ladybugs if they're not that necessary, and it'll just get extra 2 on your opponent, which is just so good. So here he activates his Draining Shield, so my Warm Worm doesn't get blown up. But here it's going to be okay because I draw the other one, and as long as I can get over his monster here, I'll be able to Warm Worm off. And I've just got so many life points, it doesn't even matter It's just so much fun. And at first I thought, oh no, he's got a Hero Shadow Scout there, so I can't attack into it, because if I do that, then I lose next turn. But here I'm just like, I'm gonna lose anyway, so I need to start attacking his things. Just kidding about the Hero Shadow Scout. So, it turns out later, when I looked at his deck, he didn't even have Hero Shadow Scout in his deck. The only monsters he was running were, everything you've seen. So he's got like, jeez, I wish I'd saved it. He didn't have any Hero Shadow Scout, he didn't have any Worm Worms, he only had attacking monsters, Lava Golem. This was more of a burn-centric one anyway, so it didn't really matter. You know, I'm just rambling at this point. But, just want to show the deck again one last time, even though it is on the side over there. Golden Ladybug is just so good. Get yourself 3 of these things if you want to run this deck. I would totally recommend it. Golden Ladybug, it's just so good because you just keep popping them off, and you get multiple in your hand at any given time, and you're just going to be regaining so much. And with Temple of the Mind's Eye, it's just so good. So TLDR this deck, you can get rid of the Lava Golem, put in another Assault on GHQ, otherwise the thing's going to be perfect because you don't really need to burn. Lava Golem is pretty much just like, you don't care about the burn element for it. It's like Kaijus in the current Yu-Gi-Oh meta. It's just popping off your opponent's important stuff. That's all that matters, so that's all I gotta say on this one. I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you all for watching. This is the Jewish Giraffe, signing out.